All right, what's up, party people? I wanted to hop on here real quick and talk about, I don't know, let me pull something out of my butt so we can talk about it. Let's talk about emotional triggers. So, I'm going to be talking about emotional triggers here in just a moment, why we get triggered, what it is that gets triggered, and kind of how to work through that. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm David, the emotional optimization coach, and I absolutely love helping people, changing people's lives through emotional optimization so that you can live better, do more for the world, all that other good stuff. So, emotional triggers. Emotional triggers are those times and moments when something outside of us sets us off. Something outside of us triggers us, makes us feel some kind of way. So, what's happening there? So, what's happening is you have some kind of an emotional trigger, some kind of an electrical impulse inside of your brain from some time earlier in life from an unresolved issue. Okay. Something happened way back when that made you feel some kind of way. And because the brain is wired to protect you and to keep you safe, what it's going to do is create an electrical impulse inside of your brain to remember the bad thing that happened to you, whatever that bad thing was. The bigger the impact of that thing, the bigger the electrical impulse inside of your brain. So until you can discharge the electrical impulse inside of your brain to let your brain know, I'm safe, that thing that happened in the past is no longer going to happen. Or if it does, I can handle it in a better way than I did back then. So I know that I'm safe. When your brain knows that you're safe, it doesn't have to keep reminding you of this thing that was a threat from your past, this thing that caused you some kind of pain from your past. So, how do we work with these emotional triggers? Now that you know that a trigger event is something that takes place outside of you that reminds your brain of a pain that happened in the past. And because it's designed to protect you, it's going to protect you from the pain potentially happening in the future. So anytime that your brain, your magnificent, powerful subconscious mind looks around the world and recognizes a pattern, recognizes something that reminds your brain of the past pain, it triggers something in your conscious mind and says, hey, pay attention. Pay attention because this is very, very important. This could kill you. This could hurt you. You could die from this thing. Now, that's a bit exaggerated, obviously. And the reason that I'm exaggerating it is because that's what's going on in your brain. Your brain is designed and wired to protect you from pain because pain could lead to death. And your brain doesn't want to die. Your body doesn't want to die, right? So it's wired to protect you from things that might cause pain. So when you have a moment, say you were beaten as a child, and you experience somebody raising their hand, right, and you flinch, that would be a trigger. I'm using an exaggerated example again to get the point across. So you flinch, right? So that is an impulse. That is an impulse inside of your brain that is trying to protect you from this perceived pain. Somebody might just be giving you a high five, but you flinch. So you're in a trigger moment. You're reacting to a pain from your past, possibly happening in the present or sometime in the future. So you're going to react to this thing. When you're in that state, your higher brain functions start shutting down so that you can get into preservation mode. Okay. So you have to create a way inside of your brain to know that you are safe. So, how we do this, how I do this with my clients, is we go in and we look at what it is that got triggered. Okay. Something is pushing your buttons. Look at the button, look at what it is that's getting triggered. If you can work through that and process through that, you can use your imagination to do this, where you go back to whatever place inside of your brain is having this reaction. You go back to it, you discharge the emotion of the moment that you couldn't back then, right? You stand up for yourself, you protect yourself, you imagine these things, create a story inside of your head, imagine these things in a way that works better for you. And what you're doing is you're starting to discharge the electrical impulse inside of your brain. You're starting to release some of that emotion that you couldn't deal with back then. So if you can bring it into the present moment, deal with it, create a new way to release it, and then give yourself what you wanted back then, what you needed, whether it's safety, whether it's protection, whatever it is that you needed back then, create a storyline in your mind to give yourself that. What's going to happen is it's going to start to calm down that part inside of your brain that is trying to protect you, because now it knows we're safe. Okay? Because your brain doesn't realize the difference between something that you're imagining and something that's happening. It gives you the same feedback as if something is actually happening, which is where emotional triggers come in. So if you're getting triggered, you're reacting to something that isn't necessarily happening outside of you, but it's an imagination inside of your head that goes back to the memory of the past. So you are reacting to something that isn't actually happening, but your brain is giving you the same response as if it's actually happening. So we can take that and we can use that in the positive to give yourself a positive reaction instead of a negative one. So you go back, you rewire the event, you release you discharge the emotion, you explode, you blow up, you do whatever you need to do, and then you reset the memory. You change the charge from something negative that is designed to protect you, a fear of pain, into something positive: safety, comfort, love, acceptance, whatever it is that you need, or whatever you needed back then, so that you can start to give yourself what you thought was missing. And then you continue doing that repeatedly over time. And before you know it, that trigger event doesn't trigger you anymore, because you have discharged the emotion, you have discharged the electrical impulse inside of your brain. So that's all I've got for you today. I want to thank you for hanging out with me, but most importantly, for leveling up your life, your skills, and everything, your mind, all the cool stuff to take your life to a whole new level. I also created a list of meditations that I've created because of to address some of the challenges that I've worked with my clients with over the last, however many years since 2004. And I would love to give that to you. Let me know if you're interested and I'll send it over. If you want to connect with me, if you've got any challenges, anything that you're working through, by all means, feel free to drop a comment. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help. And that's about